Okay, let me do the switch. And we should, oops, wrong camera. There we go. All right, welcome to Radio Axiom Presents. This is 65. It's been, the last show was in October, so it's been a while. This is Radio Axiom Presents Enero Zapatista 2026. And on today's show, we're gonna first I'm gonna go over an update on what's happening out in Marron Valley. And then after that, we're gonna take a break. And then we're gonna go into a interview that I did with Erick Meza about 2 weeks ago. And then we'll take another break. That's about 45 minutes or so. And then we'll take another break and go into an interview that my friend Bobby Bray did with Ricardo Dominguez last weekend. And Erick is going to talk, backing up a little bit, Erick is going to talk about what's happening with the environment here in San Diego as it relates to the new border wall construction that's happening, not just here, but from Texas, Arizona, well, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and San Diego. And Ricardo, who is another badass, he's going to talk about his experience and his history with digital Zapatismo, electronic Disturbance Theater, which is something that he started back in the early 90s in New York. And he's considered an expert on electronic civil disobedience. And in here in San Diego, he's also recognized as a founder of this really interesting, as a co-founder of this really interesting tool called the Transborder Immigration Tool, which was sort of a intervention at the border. And most recently, he started this web-based ICE tracking app. Instead of it being an app that you get on Android or iOS, this thing is just web-based. So there's no way for Android or Apple to remove it from the store because this thing is free and is web-based. And it's called VECINOS.IS. But first, before we get started, I do need to read a statement that collectively that we put together as the as part of this annual event called Enero Zapatista. With the Enero Zapatista organizing committee here in San Diego, we generated the following statement, and it's about, I didn't time myself, it might be 10 minutes long, so, and it's 4 paragraphs, or 5 paragraphs, and here we go. El común Zapatista in the face of the storm, encounter resistance and rebellion against fascism. The storm. For the past decade, the EZLN, through the communiques, has warned of an oncoming storm. The intensifying assault on indigenous communities and all those from below. No single day has marked its arrival. Instead, its quiet surge has been slowly all-encompassing. No one escaping its reach. While it ebbs and flows in intensities and proximities, there is no doubt the storm is here. How, then, do we call on all popular resistance from below and ongoing rebellions, big and small, to look horizontally to one another, to take stock and inventory of where we stand and what we hold to collectively build upon the EZLN's analysis of the current conjuncture. How do we gain conceptual clarity on what we are up against, the contours of the storm, its deadly winds, its thunderous roars, and its weakening fronts? El Común Zapatista. At the end of 2023, following a brief closure of the caracoles across Zapatista territory, amid intensified aggression from the government, drug cartels, and paramilitary groups threatening their autonomy, the EZLN announced a new political strategy, El Común Zapatista. In the face of the storm, this strategy represents a collective turn towards building and defending life in common. Rather than retreating inward, the Zapatista are reaching outward, calling for collaborations across those who would find themselves battered by the storm, even those who have not particularly identified with their movement. Recognizing there are many non-Zapatistas who have fallen prey to the worst excesses of civilization or death that thrives on insatiable greed, the EZLN has proposed working land collectively with those who have lost access to it, whether through sale, displacement, or migration. Through this act, El Común Zapatista becomes a practice of subverting relations dictated by capitalism and preparing for the day after capitalist collapse. It complements changes to the organizational and governance structures in order to address the changing face and manifestations of the capitalist hydra. What might it mean of practice El Común Zapatista in our own geographies, in Kumeyaay territory, in the borderlands, and in many ways in the belly of the beast? What does it mean to redefine relations among ourselves, our communities, land, and the natural world beyond capitalist logics, or across different ideologies? How will we prepare for the day after the storm? The call. In our own geographies, place-based encounters of resistance and rebellion are the ways we build a world where many worlds fit. They live in the everyday acts of resistance practiced with each unique community and cultural landscape. A grounding in remembering our individual and interconnected humanity and commonalities gives strength when there is self-doubt and despair. Such encounters become part of the scaffolding of anti-capitalist, anti-systemic alliances forged through horizontal exchanges of experience and care, and where together we cultivate resilience to weather the storm. We thus call on all movements, collectives, individuals, artists, cultural workers, tech workers, students, workers, independent media workers, all who resist and rebel from below to encounter and accompany one another in our own respective and collective struggles against the fascist present, ICE and troops, a bunch of dupes. So with that, I would like to transition to giving an update on what's happening here in San Diego in this place called Marron Valley. So we're going to go full screen with some video. So first I'm going to show quick video. Well, I'm going to basically bounce around a bunch of these videos. And the first one here. This is Marron Valley, roughly 2 years ago. And so I came across and learned about Marron Valley back when I was a humanitarian aid worker during the asylum crisis of 2023 through 2024. Border Patrol is having people stay in certain areas called open air detention sites, and then beginning in September, the end of summer of 2023 and throughout the fall of 2023, and then around the spring of 2024, they got the Mexican government to work together with them to plug these holes where a lot of the asylum seekers were crossing. And that basically caused a lot of these people to find a different place to enter to claim asylum. And as a result, they ended up coming out to this area. And what we're looking at right now is Marron Valley. On the left, almost right in the middle of the screen, is the border. So on the left is the United States, and on the right is Mexico. And so people were forced to go out into this area. They were directed by cartels and human traffickers, and just told to start walking in a certain direction. And during the summer, some colleagues and I, we started looking for people in these remote areas, and then we found out that a lot of them were being forced out into this area out there in Dulzura. And then gradually we started going further and further into the mountain, and that's where we ended up seeing this place called Marron Valley. And at that time I remember feeling and thinking that this place feels like, like a the land that time forgot. Like, it's so beautiful and untouched. This must be what, Kumeyaay land looked like before colonization. And because of all the rhetoric coming out of DC after the election, I started to get a real fear of what would happen here because of the resumed border wall construction that was being threatened. And I think, okay, so this is today. This was filmed last week out in Marron Valley, and if we as we zoom out, we'll see the concertina wire that now goes along the entire area that used to be just this wire fence. An interesting fact about Marron Valley that a lot of people don't know is that a majority of this area is owned by the city. And because of this concertina wire that was just put on the ground like a ginormous slinky, it's preventing the city of San Diego to do their work out there. And also the county does some other nature conservatory type of work out there. And so now this concertina wire is going to be preventing them from accessing certain parts of this area. So it was really interesting how our federal government just went in there, laid down all this concertina wire without giving anybody any notice, and they trampled and destroyed a lot of this protected area. On this day, I went out there on a Sunday, and the winds were kicking up around 25, 30 miles an hour. And I was unable to get.
Maybe turn that down.
So this was on a windy day, and I was pretty far out, but the camera has an incredible zoom lens, and so we're just taking a look at it. And I'm going to go a little bit forward here. And so eventually we went down into the valley, and with my phone set to slow-mo, I started walking the path, and you can see how they just trample over everything. They basically created a road where there was nothing. If we had done this, as as regular people, I'm sure we would have been sued or something, or arrested for damaging this place the way this is damaged. And let me skip forward a little bit more. And so we got up close and personal with this razor wire. Like, they just dragged it underneath that. Let me cut back over here. They dragged it and just cut through this entire area here. We'll go back. Yeah, so it's pretty shocking to see what occurred there. And then a couple of days later, we went back out there, and I got some. Oh yeah, one more thing. So in this area, I'll show you a map in a second. In this area, there's two creeks that merge together, and they form the Tijuana River. There's the Tijuana Creek, and then there's this other creek. I can't remember the name of it. And here you can see down below where all the crumpled brush is, that's water. And so they've created a dam there where there should be freely flowing water. And they did this in two places. And so it's just shows, it's, I'll leave it up to you to decide the words to use for this sort of thing that we're seeing here. But for me, it was just like almost no words.
Yeah, what about the wildlife?
Yeah, so think about, just think about this and kind of wonder, what's it going to look like in a year, 2 years? Because I really don't think there's any intention to remove it. So we can only imagine what this will do to the wildlife and for the rest of the ecology there. And so this is just the camera set and shooting for about a minute or two. And then we get back up in the sky here. Here we go. So I'm going to let this play for a bit, and I guess just think about what you're looking at, and I'm going to prepare us to look at a couple of maps.
Did they drive that wire out there, or?
Yeah. So I'm right here. I'm flying along an imaginary line, if you will, from one monument to another. Just behind us in the sky is Monument 248, and then in the middle here on a ridge is 249, and at the far end is 250. 250 is where the border wall ends at Otay Mountain, and their intent is to connect them. So this ridge is coming up ahead of us that you can see there in the background. There's a monument there, and that's 249. I'll scooch forward a little bit. You'll see it. And it has concertina wire around it.
It's like miles.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how many miles, but let's see.
All you need is some clippers and just clip it and go right through it.
Yeah.
Doesn't the city have a lawsuit?
Yeah, the city is suing the federal government. We'll see where that goes. And what's interesting is that the city went alone on that suit when there's already a coalition of different groups that have been around for decades, doing this advocacy work. So right there, that's the monument that we looked at earlier.
Is that Otay Mountain?
No, that's Tecate.
Oh, okay.
That's Tecate Peak. Oh wait, Tecate Peak's behind us, but that's Mount Kachuma, I think. But on the other side, and to the right is Tecate. So now I'm going to switch over to map. Okay, so we were flying this way just now. That's Monument 249. We're flying across this way. But if we rotate it and look at it so this, the U.S. is above that purple line, and Mexico's below. The red line, that's where the border wall is going to be installed. Below the purple line is Mexico, and as you can see, the border wall is going to start in the mountain over here at Tecate, way over here. It's going to start here, where it currently ends. And it's going to go across all these ridges, and then it's going to come down from Monument 248 across the ridge, down into the valley, and instead of crossing where all the concertina wire is, it's going to go north to the very base of these hills. It's going to go over this hill. That where it says CXX, that's just a random sorry, that's just a random point that I put in there because I was in a hurry, but that's where we stopped, and that's where I started filming in those other videos. And so over here, where it says BBSC, or where it says C wire stop, that's where I stopped walking. All that concertina wire is from CXX to C wire. But the wall is going to be built north of the border. It's going to cross this very crucial area right here. This is where the, what is that creek called? Again, well, this is the creek that merges with the Tijuana Creek below. And so the wall is going to cross that. And and Erick Meza, he talks about the dangers about doing something like that. So this wall is going to keep all of us from seeing Marron Valley from a distance. I don't know what this city is going to do, but as you can see, these purple lines right here, those are all parcel. Those are denoting, the parcels and who they belong to. And as you can see, pretty much all of them down here belong to the city. So the government is sealing off city property. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And here's Google Earth. Same area. Here we go. So again, here's Monument 248. Here's the valley. Here's 249 that we flew over. And then 250. So they're going to connect 248, 249, 250.
What a waste of money.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But I've always just wondered, why I mean, I guess I kind of get it, that because there's no border there, the government doesn't want us down there. But at the same time, I'm like, it's a gem to me. It's so amazing down there. So I guess I'll end it here and go back to, I'll end us looking at the maps and go back to the video. And I guess you can decide how you feel about it. Of course, I know how I feel. I know I wish there was something that we could do, but they're waiving pretty much every environmental law that exists in order to build these walls. And the people who are going to build these walls have no experience building anything like this, so I'm not alone in my fear for what's going to happen to the environment out there and what it's going to mean to our access to Otay Mountain or any part of that region. Because there is a lot of land out there that belongs to the Bureau of Land Management, which means it belongs to us. So we'll see. As of right now, there's no evidence of any border wall construction happening now, but they're determined to finish it by 2028. So between now and 2028, there's going to be a lot more destruction other than razor wire. All right, I'm going to transition now over to Erick Meza's interview. Does anybody need to take a break, or should we just continue? Okay, let's talk with Erick.